She gave me the ring in silence. No speech, no closure. Just placed it on the kitchen counter and said, "I can't do this anymore. We were supposed to get married in 2 months. Venue booked, invitations sent. Even her mom had already picked the wine." I stood there holding a dish towel like it mattered. She walked out without packing. No suitcase, no clothes. Just keys, phone, coat gone. I didn't run after her. I didn't text. I waited. 3 days later I messaged her sister. No answer. Then our mutual friend Carla. She said she'd check in. Never replied again. I started telling myself the usual things. Maybe she's overwhelmed. Maybe there's someone else. Maybe I messed up and didn't see it coming. But then, why return the ring? A week passed. Then another. I went back to work. A small creative agency where stress is the default. My boss Simon pulled me into his office first day back. He said, "You need time, take more if you want." But his eyes didn't match his tone. His eyes were calm. Satisfied. The kind of calm that doesn't belong to a man who sees his employee's life collapse. I told him, "No, I'm good. Better at work than anywhere else." He nodded. Said something about deadlines. Dismissed me. 2 days later, while doing client revisions, I got an Instagram notification, tagged in a post, by someone I didn't know. I clicked. A blurry photo of a wedding venue. And in the background, a familiar white dress. Her dress. My dress. The one we picked together. I zoomed in. I couldn't breathe. It was her. Smiling. And next to her, Simon, my boss. They weren't standing like coworkers. They weren't posing like friends. Her hand was on his chest, his mouth near her ear, and the caption read, "Mr. and Mrs. Langston. Forever begins now." Langston. His last name. I didn't speak for 2 days. Not even to myself. I called in sick. Sat in my apartment with the lights off and let my phone die. The air felt heavy. Like the walls knew and were ashamed of me. I couldn't stop seeing their faces. How she smiled at him the way she used to smile at me. How he looked like he'd won something expensive. And the worst part, no one said anything. No messages. No calls. No "Hey, are you okay?" No explanation from her. Just silence. Like the world had been quietly edited, and I was no longer in the story. On the 3rd day I recharged my phone. Opened my messages. Nothing from her. Nothing from Simon. I opened Instagram. They'd both blocked me. Her profile gone. His private. I didn't know what hurt more. The betrayal. Or the absolute deletion of me from the picture. Like I was a test version. And they'd moved on to the final product. That same day Carla messaged. A single line. "You didn't hear it from me." Then a link to a wedding registry. Her name. His name. The date. It was registered a month before she gave me back the ring. A month. She was still sleeping beside me. Still calling me babe. While planning a wedding with my boss. I called Carla. No answer. Called her again. Straight to voicemail. I sat on the floor in the hallway like I used to when I was a kid and did something wrong. Back pressed to the wall. Waiting for a voice. Waiting for reality to knock. Nothing knocked. I looked around. And realized most of her things were already gone. Before she gave back the ring. Like she'd packed piece by piece. Like she'd timed her exit. I opened the closet. Only my jackets. Opened the bathroom drawer. Only my razor. Opened the fridge. No almond milk. No yogurt. Nothing she liked. It wasn't heartbreak. It was theater. A carefully written scene. Timed perfectly. To hurt less for her. And more for me. I went back to work like nothing happened. Because what else do you do when the man who married your ex is also the one signing your checks? He didn't say a word. No congratulations. No smug looks. Just casual morning updates. Like it wasn't my fiancé he put a ring on. The others knew. I could feel it. Not directly. Not spoken. But in the way they looked at me and then looked away. In the quiet when I walked into the room. In the sudden need for everyone to wear headphones even when no music was playing. I lasted 4 days. On Friday we had a team meeting. He sat at the head of the table. She walked in late. Yes. She. Rachel. My Rachel. Wearing her usual gray blazer. Acting like a guest speaker. Like someone no one in that room had ever kissed. She smiled at me. Not cruel. Not guilty. Just like she was looking at a stranger she used to know in high school. And she said, "We're excited to collaborate on the new campaign." Excited? I stood up and walked out. No one followed. No one stopped me. Even HR didn't send a message. That night I drank too much. Sat on my balcony and tried to imagine the point. Not of life, but of honesty. Of love. Of showing your whole self to someone. Just for them to take notes and hand them over to your replacement. In the morning, I found a note under my door. Not signed. One sentence. He was seeing her before you. I read it 3 times. Then again. Tried to match the handwriting. Carla. Maybe. Maybe not. It didn't matter. Because deep down, I already knew. It wasn't a betrayal. It was a plan. I just hadn't been copied on the timeline. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is sharp. Quick. I was something slower. Thicker. Like regret wrapped in concrete. Like staring at something you can't fix because it was never yours to begin with. I started going through our photos. Old texts. Trying to trace where the lie started. At what point the woman I loved became the woman who would marry my boss. And not even flinch. The pattern wasn't clear at first. But once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. She met Simon before she met me. He gave a guest lecture at her university. I remembered her talking about it once. How she liked the way he carried himself. How he wasn't loud but always listened. I thought she was just analyzing people like she always did. But now I wondered if that was the first move. I checked her Instagram posts from back then. Hidden likes. Comments I didn't recognize. Then deleted. But not before archive bots had saved them. There he was. In the background of her graduation photo. Not front and center. Not smiling. Just watching. 3 months after that, she met me. At a networking event hosted by his company. I thought it was chance. I thought we clicked because of chemistry. But what if it was design? I looked up the guest list from that night. Her name wasn't on it. But the +1 column had a blank next to Simon's. And then I remembered. The way she always pushed me to stay at that job. Even when I hated it. Even when better offers came. She always found reasons to keep me there. Proximity. Routine. Stability. Maybe it wasn't about me at all. Maybe I was just the placeholder. The soft landing while they aligned the optics. I wanted to confront him. Or her. Both. But what would that even do? They were already married. Living the story they edited me out of. I went back to the office on Sunday. Empty. Quiet. I sat at my desk and stared at the walls. Then checked the printer logs. She printed something 2 weeks before she left. A single file. 4 pages. I found the file on the server. Buried under shared folders. It was a draft prenup. Between her and Simon. Dated before she returned the ring. And on the last page, a clause that said, "No mention of previous engagements." by mutual agreement. They'd planned to erase me. Legally. I printed the prenup and stared at it for hours. Not reading. Just looking. Like it might start bleeding if I stared long enough. I wasn't sad anymore. Not in the usual way. It was more like mourning the version of myself that believed people meant what they said. I made copies. Hid them in 3 different places. Not because I had a plan. Just because I wanted something solid. Something that proved I wasn't crazy. On Monday, I went to work early. Before anyone else. Sat at my desk. Opened my email. Typed a message to HR. Then deleted it. Then wrote it again. Then deleted it again. Because what do you say? That your boss married your ex. That they were seeing each other behind your back. That your name was legally scrubbed from their history. And even if you did say it, who would care? So I did nothing. And pretended again. Until lunch. That's when I saw Carla in the hallway. She looked nervous. Like she knew something I didn't. I asked her if she left a note. She didn't answer. Just said, check the printer again. I did. Another file. This one printed the night before. But not by her. By him. Simon. It was a meeting memo. Internal. But what caught my eye was a comment in the margins. Not in his tone. Not businesslike. Just one line. He's unraveling. Might need to move him soon. I froze. Moved. Where? For what? I reread it 5 times. Then checked the document's revision history. There were redactions. Lines removed. Comments edited. Carla had seen the earlier version. And now. So had I. I downloaded it. Sent it to myself. Off the network. Offline copy. Burned to a USB. And then, as I turned to leave, I saw Simon standing at the end of the hall. No smile. No nod. Just eyes. Watching. He didn't say anything. Just stood there. Blocking the hallway like it belonged to him. Like everything did. His job. His house. My ex. My peace. I walked toward him. Slow. He didn't move. When we stood face to face, I expected him to smirk. To explain. To act like he was the victim of love. But instead he said, "You're tired. You should take time off." His voice calm. Professional. Like I was an asset losing value. I said, "I'm fine." He said, "No, you're not. Not anymore." And then he smiled. Finally. And said, "We've been patient." We. That word landed wrong. Like there was a boardroom somewhere deciding how long I was allowed to feel. I said I saw the file. His face didn't change. I said I know about the prenup. His jaw tensed. I said I know you were with her before she gave the ring back. His eyes narrowed. He said, "I'd advise you to be careful. Emotions cloud judgment. And you've already made some poor ones." He walked away. Just like that. Like the conversation never happened. I sat in my car for an hour after work. Didn't start the engine. Just stared at the USB in my hand. I thought about going to legal. To media. To anyone. But every option felt like shouting into an echo chamber. They had the story. The wedding. The timeline. I had paper. But paper fades. That night, I opened a burner email. Said everything I had. To myself. To a journalist I used to know. To a subreddit about workplace abuse. To 3 random addresses from old contact lists. Just to make it real. To make it leave my hands. In the morning, I got a response. 1 line. No name. "We've seen others like you." The email had no signature. No name. No link. Just that one sentence. "We've seen others like you." I read it 10 times. maybe more, every time hoping another line would load. Some detail, some answer, but that was all. I replied, "Who are you?" No response. I waited, checked the inbox every hour. Nothing. So I went back to the thread, the subreddit where I'd posted. Just a throwaway title. My boss married my ex and erased the timeline. No names. No proof. Just rage. It was already buried. But one comment stood out. Someone asking, was she in New York in 2018? Did she work in marketing? Did she talk about fate a lot? Yes. 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 I messaged them. They replied fast. Faster than I expected. They said, "I think we dated the same person." We started comparing stories, names, phrases, habits. She used the same playlist, the same wine, the same notebook brand, the same joke about forgetting her left from her right. He sent me a picture, a blurry selfie from a beach, her shoulder barely in frame. But I knew it was her. Even the way she stood looked rehearsed. He said she left him overnight, moved out, no warning, blocked his number, and 2 weeks later, she showed up as a speaker at a corporate retreat, married to the organizer. Different man, same story. I told him about Simon, about the note, the file, the erased engagement. He went silent for a while, then wrote, "Check the local records, marriage license filings. See how long they've been connected legally." I did, and what I found wasn't what I expected. Simon and Rachel had filed a domestic partnership 6 months before she ever gave me the ring. Not just dating. Documented. 6 months. She lived with me, slept beside me, made plans for a wedding, while already legally attached to someone else, but not under her real name. Her legal name was Rochelle Danvers, not Rachel Torres like I knew her, not the name on her Instagram, or her work badge, or the fake monogram planner she carried to every meeting. I ran a background check, paid for it, waited. The results came in a PDF, 15 pages. Employment history with gaps, previous addresses that didn't line up, and a marriage. One more. From 5 years ago. Annulled in under 3 months. Same city. Different man. Different company. Same pattern. The man was a project manager at a startup. The startup failed 6 months after she left. I found his LinkedIn. Still active. I messaged him. He responded within the hour. Said, "I thought I was the only one." He told me she came into his life fast, like she was solving a problem he didn't know he had. Said she rebuilt him, then disappeared. And that when she left, the company bled people. He lost control, confidence, direction. I asked if she ever mentioned Simon. He said, she said he was her brother. I don't know what they are, what they want, but I know they move with precision. They enter people's lives, learn everything, then pull out, leave you emptier, not just emotionally, but professionally, socially, like parts of you go with them. I don't know how many of us there are, maybe dozens, maybe more. All I know is, I'm not healing, not moving on. I'm documenting, saving, tracking. I started a folder, not for revenge, for awareness. In case someone else sees the same smile, the same gray blazer, the same story unfolding in their life. Because this wasn't a heartbreak. It was a script. And I wasn't a person. I was a placeholder. The end.